All right, guys, Shotty T here with Alliance War video. This is war number 6 of season 20. So this is the halfway mark here before we have a one-day break before the second half of the season. So this next opponent here pretty evenly matched. So just scouting the layout as usual and just highlighting a few problem nodes that are in my path. Of course, we have that Korg on node 23 again. And we got an Emma Frost here on Footloose. So it's going to be an interesting fight there. Then we got another thing there, Ebb and Flow. And then, of course, these are the bosses. We got 2 Dooms. Looks like they got 3 Dooms overall, 3 things overall. I think that's the extent of their diversity as far as duplicating defenders. It might be another couple that I'm missing there that are probably off screen, but I think they got 2 Iron Man Infinity Wars there. Looks like outside of that, looks like everything is normal. So, but still had a hard time trying to think of who I'm gonna bring because I like to take on the mini bosses and be able to handle my path. So oftentimes I end up not bringing the best matchups for everyone in my path. It's just good enough, and that way I could still be in the running for the mini bosses. But I'm definitely bringing Havoc and Venom. So the third person I'm trying to figure out. Now we got a Doom boss, so obviously common sense you would think would be Human Torch. But I thought about potentially using Claire, even though, again, she won't be as effective against Dr. Doom. And the only reason why I was thinking about Claire is because of that Sentinel on that Stunning Reflection node. Because I know Claire destroys Sentinel with that Incinerate mode, where she basically like melts him with the energy damage. But at the same time, Torch is a pretty good matchup against him too. So I decided to go with Torch as my third wheel. So first fight here, we're going to have a Wasp. Ebb and Flow knockdown. I'm going to go with Venom here. Of course, the deal with Wasp is that when she's awakened, depending on her sig level, when she shrinks and stings you, there is a bit of a cooldown. And the cooldown just depends on her sig level. And then outside of that, when you're normal attacking her, you want to parry short combo. And apparently I comboed a little too much, being a little too greedy, and ended up being shocked there. But no harm, no foul. We continue on. So we knock her down again. Now I'm just trying to bait her SP1. That's the easiest one to do. And as you can see, her shrink timer resets. And I want to make sure that I take advantage of this passive fury. So most of the SP2 was able to hit during it, but not the very end of it, where most of the hits were. But either way, we take her down. So next fight here is going to be Human Torch against Clairvoyant, and of course Human Torch is the Mystic Slayer. So just gonna go ahead and make quick work out of this particular fight. And what I may do, because I realized that last video was like 35 minutes long, and I think this one's gonna be over 30 minutes also. What I'll likely do, like the fights that have like a lesser degree of difficulty, I'll probably just not show those fights and just summarize it, basically let you know who I used and who I took down with them. Now, of course, like if you guys still want to see all the fights, I'll be happy to show all the fights. Like I said, this one is just pretty standard, straightforward. So I think that's the only fight that was like that straightforward. Probably one other fight that's pretty straightforward. And this particular one here, now like I said, we got Thing, and we're gonna purposely take this on with the long distance relationships. That way we can have some insurance, healing, just in case. And plus, took some hits from wasps, so we're gonna use this as a free heal node. Save those potions and boosts. So as you can see with the willpower, I'm healing from the weakness debuff. So that was the thought process. Now fighting thing with Venom, it's kind of tricky because of course the rock stats when they get to 15, the next time you hit him, he becomes unstoppable. And usually when you try to manage the rock stats, you try to do a combo that puts it exactly at 15 stacks. And as you can see, I thought I was going to put him at 15 stacks there, but I ended up randomly bleeding him, and it took him back down to 12. So, and of course, Venom's bleeds are RNG based, so you don't know which hit is going to bleed the opponent. Unlike some, like Nick Fury, you know exactly like both his medium attacks and his heavy attacks going to bleed the opponent. So you know. So this one here, we're still managing the stacks. Now this particular node helps the fact that it's shifting power gain. So whenever I'm close to a bar of power and that timer runs out and I have more power than the opponent, they're just going to steal my power. So it actually helps if you happen to get Thing at 15 rock stacks and he just throws a special and now he has no power. So it's good, at least on this particular node, to have a bar of power saved in case of an emergency if you need it. So all in all, this fight, I guess I just thought too much into this fight, thinking it was going to be pretty difficult because of that combination of ebb and flow. But the fight ended up being pretty straightforward. I guess the fear, of course, if you don't fight this fight properly, is that with that unstoppable heavy attack, if you're not managing a rock stat and keeping him in the corner, then it's easy for you to get cornered and probably not get out of it, especially if the stacks are already against you. So that was the fear that I had when I first went into this fight, but it ended up not ever happening. So fight went pretty smooth. Now this next fight, not so much. Somebody else took down Iron Man Infinity more with Void, because I got Torch. He's saved from some heavy duty fights. So here's the back. This is Havoc versus Korg part 2. And as you see, I went ahead and took that screenshot. This will be that'll be like the thumbnail image for this video. But anyway, so we're going to use the invulnerability boost again. We're going to use 200% power boost, which ends up being a complete waste, and you'll see in this particular fight. But I did have a couple in overflow, and they were about to expire, so it's use it or lose it, right? But yeah, but anyway, we're going to head in. Now, I should have just checked the sig level, because the Korg that I fought last war, he did not shrug off as many debuffs. I'm guessing his sig level is like no more than 100. But if I had to guess on this particular Korg, I would guess that his sig level was like 200, because he was shrugging off a lot of stuff. And it throws your rhythm off. It builds up the prowess charges. So it's not fun. So right now the plasma detonation is doing some damage there, and I made a mistake and did a double medium, so we got punished for that there. And now he's just shrugging off everything, and so now he has 5 prowess charges. And he's still shrugging. Now he has double-digit rock stacks, and now he has 13. So it just seems like these rock stacks are just not going anywhere. And it's the plasma buildup that's doing this. Like I said, the previous fight, it was better. But I believe this one just had a higher sig level. And he's just restoring like almost every debuff, and it's just annoying. I mean, look at all the rock stats he has. I mean, he was at double digits for quite some time, and I'm trying to get him down to 0 so I can just launch this SP3, but he's just not cooperating. It went back to 11 now. It was down to 6. And now it's at 8. Now it's back to 7. Now it's at 9. And now it's at 10. So let me just go ahead and throw this SP3, man. It's like fighting against a brick wall at this point. And I think the problem, when I look back at it, the problem that in this fight is I did too many SP1s. But the SP1s is what actually ramps up the plasma charges and the debuffs on the opponent. So, because you'll see, and that's really what causes Korg to just keep shrugging them off. And yes, he does take energy damage when he shrugs off plasma debuff, but it's not enough to kill him. But it's taking some chunks now. Don't get me wrong. It's like 1900 damage. Well, that's the plasma feedback now. But it was like 1700. I want to say somewhere around there. And I mean, most of the time I get hit is based off of the just being too eager to try to punish the parry. Because every time I parry, he shrugs it off. So, and I can't punish his heavy attack because my last combo ended with a medium. So if I try to dash in, he's just gonna evade it. So I decided to waste another SP3 again. The 200% power boost was just a complete waste. And then I just forget to block at the end. I think I was just so frustrated. Yeah, as you can see there. All right, so we decided to go back in with with Havoc. And yeah, I could have did it with Human Torch, but it's Incinerate. The debuffs probably get shrugged off, and I'm definitely not using pre-fight for this one because usually I reserve that for the boss. So we're going to go back in with Havoc and to finish what we started. Not going to heal him up all the way because I have a note where I can definitely heal him on, and you'll see it. So I had thought about it when I went back in this fight. Okay, we're not going to throw any SP1 at all. We're just going to build to SP3, keep it simple, keep the rock stats under control, and that'll win the game. Because Havoc SP3 does more than enough damage where you don't have to try to build plasma charges just so you can build up your prowess by spamming heavies. So again, every time you fight more fights like this, you learn stuff every time. So I learned something last war, I learned something this war. He won part 2, but I guarantee you there's a part 3. I'm gonna win that, and you guys will be the first to see it on this channel. So this next fight here, we have Emma Frost on the Footloose node. So my thought process here when I brought Venom is that we're gonna push her into the corner so that way I don't have to worry about trying to do all this dexing and blocking in the corner while the Footloose is active. But the idea here is to get her to an SP1 where she has more power than you, so that way you can parry, and then also I could armor break her so that way her diamond form wouldn't come back. But as you can see, I mistimed dexing her SP2, so that's how I just blocked the whole thing. And I'm trying to get to the point where I can launch my SP2 for the adrenaline mechanic, and I ended up just not blocking. So that time I just interrupted her special by doing it. And as you can see, the SP2 pretty much melted her. But she's down. So normally I take path 5 all the way, but this time I go path 4 because there's a Spider-Man and there's a Havoc. And the person that normally takes this route doesn't have the best counters for Spider-Man on this node. and definitely do not have the best counter for Havoc. Colossus could work, but it just makes the fight very tricky and probably lengthy. So here, this is the second fight that I was talking about where it's pretty straightforward. As you can see, it was a pretty nice light intercept there and then a medium intercept. I mean, this Spider-Man didn't have a chance. And at that point, I didn't realize he was stubborn. So, but we ended up just taking that stubborn off and finishing the fight. Now this next opponent is Havoc. Now, this is a great placement for Havoc. There are very few counters to this node because first of all, the node that makes the typical counters tougher to bring, like Warlock, Guillotine 99, and now Hulk Buster, is that there's crumbling armor. So if you don't land attack within 6 seconds, you're gonna have an armor break debuff. So if that armor break debuff happen to be around the time where you have 10 plasma charges, then it's just gonna explode on you, and you're gonna take a lot of damage. And of course, the robots, when you take away their armor, it takes a while for it to refresh. So that dead period, it could happen. Like I said, Colossus is a pretty good counter to this Havoc because you can't armor break him unless there's a tech champ. But the thing about this node that makes it very tricky is that if you have 3 or more debuffs on you, the defender becomes unblockable until they're either purified. Until they're purified. So the only way they're purified is if the plasma detonates. So that way I'll have a little small window where I could block them, but I decided to just go this whole fight without blocking. So you're going to see an advanced tactic that I encourage a lot of people to use on stun immune nodes is hitting into the block to induce heavies, and also hitting into the block to keep the opponent in the corner. So this is a great tutorial fight on how to fight stun immune nodes in general, and keeping the opponent in the corner and hitting into the block to bait heavies and specials. If you do these things, you'll never have to worry about getting SP3 because I don't remember the last time I actually died to SP3 by just not being able to bait the special. Now, sometimes I'll get hit by SP3 because I misread the node, like the strike back or something, or if I'm thinking that I'm siphoning power, like with Dr. Doom, but I'm not. Yeah. But as far as like just pushing them to SP3, like Hyperion, for example, I don't remember the last time Hyperion got me with an SP3 because I'm good at baiting his SP2 and SP1. But yeah, and even with Vision Arcus for that matter. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this fight here. We got the unblockable, and another SP3 should do it. All right, so there's that fight. We're gonna pause the recording real quick. We'll be right back. And we're back, guys. I had to do some housekeeping in AQ. Oh boy, gotta try to put out some fires. But anyway, so next fight here, we're gonna face another thing on Ebb and Flow. So the first fight went pretty well. So this one, the degree of difficulty is not as severe. I guess because of you don't have to worry about the unstoppable heavy attack for one. So really, this node, just same as the other fight. Now this fight will take much longer because I think there's an added aspect of this node that does increase power gain, and also his protection along with the ebb and flow protection. You're not going to be inflicting a lot of damage. So my whole idea here is to try to get an intercept, whether it's by a backdraft light counter, which is the safest intercept to attempt with Venom, or just anticipate the opponent coming towards you when you're at a like certain distance away from them. But one thing I'll make sure that I won't do is be cornered. So right now we're just hitting into the block to push him over that 15 rock stacks, and I end up throwing a SB2, and I end up getting comboed into oblivion. So now things are a little nervous. Now the one thing I don't have as a saving grace on this node is the power steal, the shifting power. So it is more paramount to manage the rock stats. So I tried to do a light intercept right there, but the AI did not cooperate. So now I'm just trying to like lunge into him when I'm thinking he's gonna come at me. And most of the time they do, but unfortunately this thing does not. But we're only a minute and a half into the fight. He only lost 10% health, so I'm getting pretty nervous about timing out at this point. So it is very critical that I get an intercept at some point, because otherwise I'm just going to time out. So we do an SP3 set where we can reset our power meter, get us back to SP2. So now it's desperation time. So we're going to bait this SP2. And then even if he has stubborn active, our main goal is to get an intercept. And again, he did not cooperate with the light counter. He actually like tried to counter my light. But that's the thing about light attacks. You could recover easily if you miss. Now, as you saw, I did get a nice intercept there. And as you can see, it's a big difference when that Fury buff is active. And it didn't even trigger his protection, so that was pretty cool. All right, but now we're gonna bait another another special. All right, and I tried to do another light intercept there, but again, it's safe. Every time I attempted it, I didn't get punished. Now I did get a light intercept in that time, so now we have the passive Fury. So now we got 2 minutes left, and we're feeling good about finishing this fight, but it was looking pretty grim a minute ago into this fight. 88% health. Oh, that was another nice intercept there. And we're gonna go ahead and bait that SB2. And get that Fury. Take advantage of that. And we're going to try to get one more intercept this fight so we can finish this guy off. We're going to do combo, try to get an intercept. Nope, he still didn't cooperate with the light counter. But again, you're not going to get punished. As long as you're not like continuously trying to hit after you whiff, then you may get punished. All right, we're in Assassin's range now. We should kill him. There we go. All right, so both those things on ebb and flow, they had their degree of difficulty, and of course, it doesn't help when you get hit. But we got through it. Now this next fight, we're gonna use Human Torch against Guillotine 99. I was really hoping this would be another one of these straightforward fights. That way I can spare as much health as possible for the upcoming opponents for Human Torch. That's part of the reason why I didn't really use him during my path, because I definitely need him for the mini bosses and the boss. So of course, as I mentioned in the previous video, against Guillotine 99, as long as your temperature is above like 10 or more, your attacks cannot miss. So really the only thing that I need to worry about on this particular node is what's that thing called? When the opponent is unblockable, when they have a heal buff on them, that node. And as you can see, that's a big mistake right there. I took a lot of damage relatively speaking, to his health. But I really wanted to walk away with this fight with more health because of the fights to come. And again, try to save potions if possible, if it's something that I can control. Now, to be honest, it didn't register to me that she could be unblockable with the regeneration at that moment. Luckily, I wasn't being offensive or was trying to parry because I was more focused on finishing the fight. Now, this next one here, we got Sentinel. Now, this is the one I debated bringing Claire for, but it would just been for one fight. So I'm not going to bring a counter for one fight most of the time. The vast majority of the time, actually. So we're going to go with Human Torch once again. Again, he's like a go-to person for me on this node. So the idea is to hit into the block, bait it heavy again, treat it like a stun immune node, hit into the block, bait it heavy. There you go. There's the heavy attack. Now we have him incinerated. Now we can stun him. And gonna build some temperature up. Because it's gonna be the damage over time that's gonna do the damage in this fight. It's not gonna be my combos because he's gonna get analysis charges at 100. The fight is just too long. So he's gonna get to 100 analysis charges. All right. So there we go. He's stubborn. But I just incinerated him, so that refreshed the stun meter. All right. And now we got it back. I got SP2. We dodged that. We go back in. Get rid of stubborn. And so far, so good. Things are going pretty well. We're managing everything to a T. With the indestructible, we're making sure that we're keeping an eye on that stun meter, so that way I don't stun accidentally when the timer runs out. So now he's at 100 analysis charges, but at the same time, Nova Flames. But as you can see there, I was gonna go in for it, the stun, right as the stun meter timed out, but it didn't happen. Now just comboed into oblivion. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt when that stun happened. I mean, the fight was going so well. That's what's so punishing about this node. You get, if you accidentally parry, or if you just mistime the parry meter, which I did, because you saw in that slow-mo, I parried literally, it was like a nanosecond when that stun meter came when I parried. And then with that added stun duration on this node, if you get stunned, you're just toast. Now, if he did the SP1, I would have been fine. The SP1 does hardly any damage, but SP2, there was just no chance I was gonna survive that. So we'll go back in with Human Torch. Now I did look ahead. I did look at the opponents. We were winning by a significant margin, so I decided really not to like boost for these boss fights. So yes, if I would boost it, maybe I would survive that combo, but don't deserve that. Now, I didn't parry there. I just did a regular block. But yeah, I didn't want to waste boosts if the war is already decided. So, like I said, we had a pretty decided advantage by this juncture. Even if we wasted all attack bonus on every remaining opponent, we would still win by attack bonus. So that's how much they struggled against our defense. But final fight here, we're gonna have Human Torch against Doom once again. Again, the only boost I'm using is combat regeneration boost. I want to make sure that I have enough health to withstand the mandatory block damage. I have to get rid of stubborn, because you have to evade this SP1, otherwise you're gonna get hit and shocked. And the SP2, you gotta evade that, otherwise you're gonna be taking a lot of block damage there too. So really, it's, and as you can see, I have a Doom boss also. He's ranked 3 6-star. He's 666, I believe, and I mean he regularly gets at least 7 kills or something. I think 2 of the previous wars he got double-digit kills on this node. So it's just tough because you have to block, and Doom has great block penetration. So I gotta find a way to get out of the corner. And every time he does a medium attack, he follows that with another combo that I'm basically re-triggering the stubborn. And at this point, I'm just fighting out the corner, intercept him with a heavy, and now we just need him to throw his special. There we go. Now I have a shock debuff on me, and I'm already on my side of the screen, so I don't want to be cornered with a shock debuff on me. Otherwise, I would get slapped and probably would die. But at this point, I just said, forget it. I'm just gonna push into SP2. I was able to dodge that there. So still not out the woods yet. The one shot is still possible. Time-wise, I got plenty of time. And I just get hit right in the face with a SP1. And that's probably gonna be the reason why I do not one-shot this guy. But as you can see, I try to bait the heavy whenever possible, because that's the best attack you're guaranteed to punish. I mean, you can technically punish the SP1 and the SP2, but it just takes good timing. And that ruined any chance of a one-shot getting hit again, because it's just no way that I'm going to be able to finish the rest of Dr. Doom when now I have a shock debuff on me, so that's just going to make it even tougher. So I basically can't block him. So if I trigger stubborn and I got very, very low health, it's just going to be another KO. So I finished him up with Havoc. But like I said, we ended up winning the war, so that was pretty exciting. We had over 100 kills as a defense. Now, our BG, we've been getting 40 the past few wars, but this war, we didn't get 40 kills. We only got 38. Anyway, guys, hope you please like, share, subscribe, and hope you have a great day.